If you're seeing this, congratulations, you just found my YouTube channel. Huzzah! You guys have been absolutely begging me to make one for a year now, and we finally got it finished, and I'm so fucking excited. So running with the theme of doing things that you guys have been asking me to do for a long time, this is going to be a tattoo tour. Now I do warn you, I've done all of these except for 2 or 3 myself. They're not great, but they serve a purpose, and that's why they're here. And that's why we're proud of them. I just did a count on my body. I have upwards of 67, 68. I'm going to be able to share roughly 40, 50 with you. Sorry, there's just some that I can't show without showing off my biscuits online publicly, so I'm going to save my biscuits for my private life and not do that. But with that, let's go ahead and get going. So that means we are starting with the hand. Now everything that you can see here all the way up to my wrist was originally stick and poke. The first things to go onto my hands were the dots around my fingernails. You can see that most of them have faded away, however some have stuck around. The next to come were the 2 rings. No, it does not go all the way around. There is a wives' tale that if you tattoo a straight line all the way around your body and it is unbroken, that you will be trapped to this vessel in the next life. So I didn't want to chance that, and we did not. The next to come was the pinky. It was a mountain and some trees. However, I busted that open during an accident, and now you can barely tell what it is. We have King of Hearts on my ring finger, Vestivier on my middle finger, and a St. Patron cross on my pointer finger. I do regret putting it on the pointer finger just because everybody assumes that it is a normal cross. However, no, it is a St. Patron cross. I just made the mistake of facing it towards myself. Next, we have a sun. Over here on my trigger finger, we have BD Bellicosi. You can see once it starts kind of going into the palm of your hand, it fades away very badly. However, it still resides. All of the lines that you see here were stick and poke as well. This does not capture well on camera, but these are all individual lines as well. They look like that they blur into each other on the camera. However, in real life, you can see them, as distinct lines. From the energy pattern swirls, we have drift offs of dots, and the dots go all the way around my wrist. Here on my wrist bone, we have the alchemaic symbol for copper. And ending the stick and poke line of tattoos, we have a planchette and a flower. Now, the reason that I started doing my tattoos like this is because I wanted to learn how to do ceremonial tattoo. The way that I thought it out in my head was, okay, if I can learn how to stick and poke first, I can learn the depth of how deep the needle has to go in order to avoid drawing blood and creating an infection. And after I was able to learn that, I would eventually move myself up to a tattoo machine, which I did. And now we start the tattoo machine portion of the video. This was my first machine tattoo ever. This was the only one that I have ever gotten in a real life shop. It's very hard to see from how it has faded because I chose to do dot work. However, it is a fox inside of an anatomically correct heart, and at the top it turns into a landscape. This next one is kind of hard to show just because, whatever you guys see, it's going to be opposite of what it is, right? Just because I have this on selfie mode. But the first tattoo that I ever did with the machine was Sunshine on my arm like this. It's just a nickname that has followed me throughout life. And spoiler alert, it may or may not have been the working title of a book series that I had been writing, which is almost finished. After Sunshine, we have this one. It is a snake with some foliage and some flowers, and the words say thank you for the venom. We were just learning how to space out the words. I can tell what it means. Not everybody can. That is a-okay. And then after thank you for the venom, we have a cassette tape. And the reason for the cassette tape is just because it's a core memory I have with my mother. She used to have a car that had a cassette tape player, and she loved Enya. 2 favorite bands, it seemed like throughout my entire childhood, was Enya and Evanescence. Evanescence was on CD, but she had an Enya cassette. So the Enya is what we would listen to when we would drive around. Now, something I do want to mention is that I started playing around with ink brands after the arm. Consistently for the arm, even in the tattoo shop, I had done my research and I specifically wanted an artist that used a black pearl. After the black pearl ran out, I started experimenting with other inks. Some do not hold up as well as others. Please hear me when I say, if you are thinking about becoming a tattoo artist or you already are a tattoo artist, do your research when it comes to inks because you might fuck yourself up if you're not careful. Just a little sweet PSA for that. Now, the next tattoo that came after the cassette tape is going to be the lion on my chest. Initially, my chest piece was just the sun, this set of wings, and the lion. You can see right here, I do not take red ink very well. It used to be a deep maroon and it has since fallen out. It doesn't have anything to do with how it healed. It was just specifically the type of ink that was used. My body was just like, nah, bitch. After the line was done, I wanted something to even out this place up here. So what I did was I went ahead and I added very dark wings that went up to my neck. And then somewhere in that mix, my personal friend that I knew had started learning how to tattoo, and they did the Anubis and the death moth that's on my shoulder. Now I will say this part of the Anubis right here was one of the worst pains I've ever felt in my life compared to like all of the other places that I've had tattooed. And then after the Anubis, the wings, and all of that other stuff that I just put on my chest, I wanted to kind of go ahead and figure out the rest of the situation. So right here we have a fox skull with some foliage. On this side we have a ram skull with some foliage. And then coming up onto my shoulder right here, we have a little snake, because I always like the little analogy of the devil on your shoulder, angel on the other side. So I was like, fuck it, a little peep snake will be my little devil. And then moving down from the shoulders on my sternum area, I have this moth right here. I'm not sure if you can really see it because it is unfinished. I don't like a lot of color in my tattoos, but I always like to go over them at least once more with a liner to give them some detail. But there's two eyes right here. This one's probably my favorite, right next to my lion. Now that the whole chest area is done, last one for that round would be my hand. This is a play on Red Right Hand. It's one of my favorite songs. I had just gotten out of a bad situation, and somebody that I was teaching to tattoo did that for free. They also did runes on my fingers, and I'm very proud of the little runes. I will never cover them up because that person specifically looked up runes of strength, courage, bravery, things like that. So that way I would have strength, bravery, and the gods on my side during that time. And I just thought that that was the sweetest thing. If they're watching this, though, I will never admit that in person. You're going to have to pry that knowledge out of my cold, grubby hands. Or at least just watch the video. Now, those are all of the tattoos that I can show you on the top half of me. I do have tattoos from the waist down. However, there's only a couple that I'm going to include in this just because I like to keep some things private, sue me. This one is very dark and hard to see sometimes, but I think this is the funniest tattoo that I have, and it is the bee on my knee because I am the bee's knees. Moving on up from my knee, I have a kitsune mask on my leg. Going over to this leg, I have a lucky cat and a chameleon. The proper term and name for this little guy is a Manineko. Or it could be Manineko. I'm unsure of the pronunciation of this little guy's name because I hear it pronounced different ways all the time. However, the fact stands that his first name is Manny. And then going up about as far as I'm comfortable with, I have a memorial tattoo on my thigh of an elephant with some foliage in honor of my Uncle Cecil. My Uncle Cecil, hands down, was one of the best men in my family. He was in charge of the elephants at Cincinnati Zoo. He has passed away, unfortunately, but the small amount of time that I got to know him, just chef's kiss. A very good man that did very good things and loved animals very, very much. So that's all the tattoos that I'm comfortable showing. Besides these little guys on my ears. This is what I mean by telling you can tell the different kinds of ink. If I would have stuck to that black pearl, these would have been crispy and nice, but you can see where the ink is falling out over here. But that's okay, they serve a purpose. I tried to follow the flow of anatomy like I did with my skulls down here. So I just followed the flow here, imagined where it would connect here, and then added the leaves here. And then going with the eyebrow rule of sisters, not twins, we have the same thing on this side. However, the anatomy is slightly different, so we did the flower slightly different. Not big different, just slightly. But yeah, that's all of them. Or at least that's all that you guys are going to see. But I hope that you guys liked it. You guys have been begging me for a tattoo tour for a year. I thought that this would be a nice way to start out the YouTube channel. If you guys would like to subscribe, go ahead and hit that button for me, because we're going to start uploading here just as consistently as we upload on TikTok. Thank you to everybody that has purchased something from Beelzebub. You make all of these channels possible. Not just the news anymore, all of these channels. But that's it for right now. There's no sources that come after this. You saw the sources on my body, so we are going to upload a video later that is just a day of spoiling Scully. And I hope that you guys take a day to just spoil yourselves too. I'll see you guys later. Bye.